Shalom to everybody, and I would like to talk about Israel, and it seems that things are a little better, or at least a little quieter in Israel these days, but they may not be very quiet for Netanyahu. Prime Minister Netanyahu made a decision, and this is one of the prerogatives of people who are in the position of leadership to make decisions, hopefully with consultation with other leaders as well, not to continue the incursion in Gaza and to stop things the way they are right now, even though we, all of you can agree, I guess, that this is not the end of the story. And he received a lot of criticism. Part of the main criticism is why you didn't finish the job, why you didn't go all the way into Gaza and stay there until you finish the job. And this is what, as you can imagine, some of the critics, and many critics in Israel and Jews around the world are thinking. Part of that is because we have the idea that we don't want to live with the anxiety of going through the same thing again. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who I'm sure wanted this story to go over and to get over with it as well, realized, I guess, that he didn't want to go all the way there, and that the solution that he is facing right now, it is a temporary solution, but is better than the alternative of going into a full incursion into Gaza. Part of his, I would say, evaluation, I'm sure, or his consideration is that the loss of lives and the dragging of the situation will be one that it will be very, very heavy for the state of Israel to handle, and probably he didn't see, as many of us don't see, a good outcome as well. But what I like to talk to you from a rabbinical point of view is a connection with the Torah portion that we read last week, and that's the beginning, the first words of the beginning of Parashat Ki Teitzeh. And in Ki Teitzeh, the first 3 words or 4 words is Ki Teitzeh le'milchama al oivecha. When you go to war or to battle against your enemies. And one of the main interesting ways that the verse is built in Hebrew is that it assumes that you have enemies, al oivecha, against your enemies, but it is in the conditional form, ki teitzeh le'milchama, if you go to war against your enemies. Apparently someone could ask the question, what do you mean if you go to war against your enemies? Don't you have to go to war against your enemies? Is it optional to go to war against your enemies? Why doesn't the Torah start by saying, go to war against your enemies? Why in this key, in this when or if you go to war against your enemies? I think what the Torah is teaching us is that even when you have an enemy, even when you have a battle that is worth picking, even when the right is on your side, even when everybody agrees that you are the good guys and the others are the bad guys, and I think, at least we may not have a consensus even in this regard, but let's say that we have a consensus and that I am part of a consensus. Even in that case, when you know very clearly who the good guys are and who the enemies are, even in that case, you don't always have to go to war. The Torah contemplates a situation in which you may want to go to war, it may be the right thing to go to war, people may want you to go to war, everybody's ready to go to war, and you still say, you know what, I am not going to pick this battle, or this may not be the right time right now, or maybe the outcome will be worse than if I don't go to war, and because of that, I am going to stop now. So my point or my message is that I don't know if what Prime Minister Netanyahu did was the right thing or the most clever thing to do in terms of the strategic approach to the situation in Israel and in Gaza. I think that time is going to tell us, and of course we will never know what the other option would have been. We only can hope for the best in the future. But what I wanted to tell you is that certainly we read in the Torah that choosing not to pick a battle or not to pick a war is a valid choice even for the Torah itself, and even when you know that you are right. If this is the case, I think it's a lesson for all of us to learn that for battles that we are not so sure if they are the right ones, we certainly have the right not to pick them if we believe that the outcome is not going to be, or we are not sure it's going to be a good one for us and for the people that we love. Shabbat Shalom.